Perhaps one did not want to be loved so much as to be understood. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Every generation imagines itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it, and wiser than the one that comes after it. The best books are those that tell you what you know already. The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which. If you want to keep a secret, you must also hide it from yourself. The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. But if thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. We shall meet in the place where there is no darkness. It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Doublethink means the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. Until they become conscious, they will never rebel. And until after they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious. In the face of pain, there are no heroes. If you love someone, you loved him, and when you had nothing else to give, you still gave him love. Power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. Perhaps a lunatic was simply a minority of one. Reality exists in the human mind and nowhere else. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4. If that is granted, all else follows. It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words. The essence of being human is that one does not seek perfection. The choice for mankind lies between freedom and happiness, and for the great bulk of mankind, happiness is better. I enjoy talking to you. Your mind appeals to me. It resembles my own mind, except that you happen to be insane. People sleep peaceably in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. Nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull. Orthodoxy means not thinking, not needing to think. Orthodoxy is unconsciousness. On the whole, human beings want to be good, but not too good, and not quite all the time. We do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them. The only good human being is a dead one. Confession is not betrayal. What you say or do doesn't matter. Only feelings matter. If they could make me stop loving you, that would be the real betrayal. Several of them would have protested if they could have found the right arguments. Men can only be happy when they do not assume that the object of life is happiness. This work was strictly voluntary, but any animal who absented himself from it would have his rations reduced by half. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship. All the war propaganda, all the screaming and lies and hatred, comes invariably from people who are not fighting. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. There was truth and there was untruth, and if you clung to the truth even against the whole world, you were not mad. Your worst enemy, he reflected, was your own nervous system. At any moment, the tension inside you was liable to translate itself into some visible symptom. If you can feel that staying human is worthwhile, even when it can't have any result whatever, you've beaten them. Man serves the interests of no creature except himself. There are some ideas so absurd that only an intellectual could believe them. He wears a mask, and his face grows to fit it. At 50, everyone has the face he deserves. Let's face it, our lives are miserable, laborious, and short. If people cannot write well, they cannot think well, and if they cannot think well, others will do their thinking for them. In philosophy, or religion, or ethics, or politics, 2 and 2 might make 5, but when one was designing a gun or an aeroplane, they had to make 4. To see what is in front of one's nose needs a constant struggle. If you kept the small rules, you could break the big ones. The greatest enemy of clear language is insincerity. During times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. Every war, when it comes, or before it comes, is represented not as a war but as an act of self-defense against a homicidal maniac. Can you not understand that liberty is worth more than just ribbons? We are the dead. Our only true life is in the future. Man is the only creature that consumes without producing. The consequences of every act are included in the act itself. If both the past and the external world exist only in the mind, and if the mind itself is controllable, what then? A people that elect corrupt politicians, impostors, thieves, and traitors are not victims, but accomplices. If there really is such a thing as turning in one's grave, Shakespeare must get a lot of exercise. It is curious how people take it for granted that they have a right to preach at you and pray over you as soon as your income falls below a certain level. You're only a rebel from the waist downwards, he told her. But it was all right. Everything was all right. The struggle was finished. He had won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother. The past was erased. The erasure was forgotten. The lie became the truth. But the thought of being a lunatic did not greatly trouble him. The horror was that he might also be wrong. You must try harder. It is not easy to become sane. The revolution will be complete when the language is perfect. The past was alterable. The past never had been altered. Oceania was at war with Eastasia. Oceania had always been at war with Eastasia. That rifle on the wall of the laborer's cottage or working class flat is the symbol of democracy. It is our job to see that it stays there. You will be hollow. We shall squeeze you empty, and then we shall fill you with ourselves. The potty told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. It was not by making yourself heard but by staying sane that you carried on the human heritage. He would say that God had given him a tail to keep the flies off, but that he would sooner have had no tail and no flies. In our age, there is no such thing as keeping out of politics. All issues are political issues. All the papers that matter live off their advertisements, and the advertisers exercise an indirect censorship over news. A man who gives a good account of himself is probably lying, since any life when viewed from the inside is simply a series of defeats. The urge to shout filthy words at the top of his voice was as strong as ever. To an ordinary human being, love means nothing if it does not mean loving some people more than others.